My brother accidentally shared a group chat. My best friends called me their ugly charity case. I walked into our meetup and said, "So, this is how you really see me?" They laughed nervously until I showed them the screenshots. Their faces dropped when I said, "Don't worry, you'll never have to tolerate me again. I've always known I wasn't the first pick. I wasn't the loudest, the most outgoing, or the kind of person people naturally gravitate toward. But I thought that in the friendships I had, I was at least wanted. Turns out, I was wrong. I found out by accident, through my own brother, Eric. And when I walked into our usual cafe that Saturday, I wasn't the same person who used to sit at that table. I wasn't the quiet, eager to please girl who let their little jabs roll off her shoulders. No. That day, I made sure they saw me for exactly who I was. And after that? They never saw me again. It all started with a mistake. Eric and I have always been close. Growing up, he was the one who got along with everyone, charming, funny, the kind of guy people wanted to be around. He was the middle child, while I was the youngest, and even though we had completely different personalities, he always had my back, which is why it hurt like HLL when I realized he had known about this for longer than I had. It was a Tuesday. Just a regular, boring Tuesday. I was at work, half listening to a Zoom call while responding to some emails, when my phone buzzed. Eric, SHT, ignore that. Sent it to the wrong person. I glanced at my phone. A screenshot. At first, I almost didn't check it. But something about Eric's message made me pause. There was a frantic, nervous energy to it. So, I opened it. And that's when my entire world shifted. It was a group chat. A group chat about me. I wasn't in it. But my best friends were. Alice. Trevor. Bianca. The people I had trusted, confided in, spent years loving like family. And there they were, talking about me like I was some kind of burden. Alice, are we actually hanging out this Saturday? Or are we still pretending for her sake? Trevor. You know she's gonna show up in those ugly BTT thrift store outfits again, acting like we're all besties. Bianca, I feel bad, but like. She kinda is our charity case. We're all just too nice to tell her she doesn't fit in. Alice, Lamau. I swear, every time we hang out, I feel like I'm earning karma points. Trevor, her brother is cool, though. Can we just invite him instead? Bianca, now, that's an idea. I felt sick. Like, physically sick. I read it over and over again, hoping I was missing some kind of joke, some clue that this wasn't what it looked like. But no. The words were right there, black and white, clear as day. They weren't laughing with me. They were tolerating me. Out of pity. And apparently, Eric had known. My hands were shaking as I typed back. Me, wow. Good to know how they really feel. He started calling me immediately. I ignored the first 3 calls. When I finally picked up, my voice came out flat. How long? Eric sighed. Listen, it's not, how long? There was a long pause. Then, quietly, a while. I closed my eyes. And you didn't think to tell me? You were happy, he said. I didn't want to be the one to ruin that. I let out a bitter laugh. So instead, you let them ruin it? He exhaled. I effed up. I know I did. I couldn't respond. My throat felt tight, my chest heavy. I hung up. And for the rest of that day, I just sat with it. With the realization that every single laugh, every single moment I thought we shared as friends, was a lie. But I wasn't going to cry over them. Not anymore. I was going to do something about it. Saturday. The plan was already set. They thought I was coming in like nothing had changed. That I hadn't seen everything. But as I walked into that cafe, my hands steady, my face unreadable, I wasn't the same person they had been ridiculing behind my back. I spotted them right away, sitting in our usual booth by the window. Laughing. Carefree. Like the people they pretended to be. Alice saw me first, her perfectly manicured hand waving. Hey. Over here. I walked up to them, pulled out my phone, and set it down on the table. They all went quiet. Then, I spoke. So, this is how you really see me? Bianca immediately looked away. Trevor swallowed hard. Alice's fake smile twitched slightly. What? She said, still trying to play dumb. I tilted my phone toward them. The screenshot was still open. I watched the blood drain from their faces. Trevor let out a nervous chuckle. Where'd you get that? Eric sent it to me, I said. By accident. Funny, huh? Silence. Alice cleared her throat. Okay, listen. You're making this a bigger deal than it is. A bigger deal? I repeated, voice eerily calm. You mean, Me finding out that you think I'm an ugly charity case? That I'm some kind of F-king punishment you all have to put up with? Bianca flinched. It's not like that, really? I cut her off. Because it sure as HLL reads like that. Trevor shifted uncomfortably. Look, we were just joking, okay? It was a joke? I let out a sharp laugh. Hilarious. I should have known. I mean, I've always been your little punchline, haven't I? Alice sighed, exasperated. Jesus, just let it go. You're being so dramatic. And that? That was it. I straightened up, scoffing. Oh, don't worry, I said, voice dripping with ice. You'll never have to tolerate me again. They stared at me, wide-eyed. You won't have to pretend anymore, I continued. You won't have to feel bad for including me. You won't even have to think about me. Because after today? I picked up my phone and shoved it into my pocket. I'm done. I turned to leave. Wait, Bianca said, her voice small. Can't we just? No. I didn't owe them a second chance. I didn't owe them anything. And for the first time in years, I realized something. I had never really been their friend. I had just been a convenient joke. A filler in their lives. But that part of my life? It was over. I pushed open the cafe door and walked out into the crisp Pittsburgh air, breathing in deep. I felt it. The end of something. But more importantly, the beginning of something new. And I wasn't going to waste another second looking back. I walked away from that cafe, my body tense, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. The cold Pittsburgh air stung my cheeks, but I barely felt it. My fingers clenched around my phone, my knuckles white. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even angry anymore. I just felt hollow. Like something had been ripped out of me, and now I had to figure out how to exist without it. I got into my car, shut the door, and just sat there. I stared out the windshield, watching people walk by, completely unaware that my world had just shifted. Then, my phone buzzed. I already knew who it was. Eric. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again. And again. Finally, I picked up, my voice sharp. What? Eric sighed on the other end. Are you okay? I closed my eyes, resting my head against the steering wheel. What do you think? A long pause. Then, softly, I'm sorry, I laughed bitterly. For what? For letting me find out on my own? Or for not telling me in the first place? Both. I exhaled through my nose, gripping the steering wheel tighter. I don't get it, Eric. I don't understand. How could I be so F-king blind? You weren't blind, he said. You just trusted the wrong people. I swallowed the lump in my throat, blinking hard. I feel like a hole. You're not. His voice was firm. You're just too good for them. And I should have told you sooner. Why didn't you? I asked quietly. I thought it would hurt less if you didn't know, he sighed again. I was wrong. Silence stretched between us. Then, Eric cleared his throat. Where are you? Car. Come to my place. I hesitated. I wanted to be alone, but at the same time, I didn't. Why? Because, he said, you need a F-king hug. I let out a small, choked laugh. You're such an ass. I know, he said. But I'm your ass. I shook my head, wiping at my face. Fine. I'll be there soon. I hung up before he could say anything else and put my car in drive. I didn't know what I was supposed to do next. All I knew was that I wasn't going to sit in this parking lot, feeling sorry for myself. Not anymore. Eric lived in a small apartment in Shadyside, just outside of downtown Pittsburgh. It was a cozy little place, nothing fancy, but his. When I got there, the door was already unlocked. I stepped inside, shutting the door behind me. Eric was in the kitchen, pulling a beer out of the fridge. He glanced over at me. You want one? I sighed, dropping onto his couch. No. Tea? I blinked. You have tea? He smirked. I have tea. I narrowed my eyes. Since when do you drink tea? I don't. He grabbed a box from the cabinet and waved it at me. But Denise left some here last time she visited, so. Lucky you. I shook my head. Sure. Tea. Eric put the kettle on, then walked over and sat next to me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then, quietly, he said, they don't deserve you. I exhaled, staring at my hands. That's not the point, Eric. The point is. I thought they did. He didn't argue. He just let me sit there, let me feel it. The kettle whistled, breaking the silence. He got up, poured the tea, and handed me a mug. I wrapped my hands around it, letting the warmth seep into my skin. You don't have to pretend to be okay, Eric said, sitting back down. I looked at him, my throat tight. I know. He didn't say anything else. He just sat there with me, drinking his beer, while I stared at my tea, waiting for it to cool. And for the first time that day, I felt like I could breathe. But that didn't mean I was okay. I didn't wake up the next day feeling better. I had hoped I would. Hoped that after sleeping on it, I'd wake up with a clear head, ready to move on. But instead, I woke up with this sinking, gnawing feeling in my chest. Like unfinished business. Because the more I thought about it, the more it pissed me off. I had spent years being the friend who showed up, who listened, who cared. And in return? They mocked me behind my back, treating me like some pathetic loser they had to tolerate. No. They didn't just get to walk away from this. They didn't get to pretend like it never happened. They were going to learn what it felt like to be humiliated. And I knew exactly how to do it. I waited a full week before making my move. At that time, I ignored every message from Alice, Trevor, and Bianca. They sent pathetic, half-assed attempts at apologizing. Alice, hey, can we talk? Trevor, come on, don't be like this. It was just a joke. Bianca, I feel terrible. Please, let's just meet up and work this out. I left them all on read. Because I wasn't interested in their fake remorse. I was interested in payback. Alice was the it girl of our group. She loved being the center of attention, loved looking like she had her life together. She prided herself on her perfect reputation, both online and in real life. So, imagine how she'd feel if everyone found out what kind of person she really was. I went to work. I dug through old messages, old photos, old proof of how these three had treated not just me, but other people too. Screenshots of their mean-spirited texts about mutual friends, catty messages where they tore people down, even a few instances where Alice had flat out lied to make herself look better. Then, I compiled it. And I sent it anonymously to a very popular local gossip page. By the time the post went live, it was everywhere. People started talking. Alice's Instagram? Flooded with comments. Wow, I always thought you were nice. Guess not. You really called your friend a charity case? What the actual FCK? So much for girl power, huh? Trevor and Bianca weren't spared either. Their names were dragged through the mud. People from our old high school started sharing their own experiences, how Alice had spread rumors, how Trevor had been a two-faced snake, how Bianca had trashed people in private while acting sweet in public. Their entire perfect image? Shattered. And I watched it all unfold with a cup of tea in hand. The moment I knew I had won was when Alice showed up at my job. I was just coming back from lunch when I saw her, standing outside the building, sunglasses on, arms crossed. The second she spotted me, she stormed forward. You did this. I didn't even flinch. Did what? Don't play dumb, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Her voice was sharp, desperate. That stupid gossip page. Someone sent them all that SHT, and I know it was you. I just sipped my coffee. Sounds like karma finally caught up to you. Alice's nostrils flared. Why would you do this? I tilted my head. You mean after you called me an ugly charity case? After you and your little friends laughed at me behind my back for years? Can't imagine why. Her face twisted. We said we were sorry. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. No, Alice. You didn't apologize. You panicked. There's a difference. She stared at me, and for the first time, I saw genuine fear in her eyes, because for once, she wasn't the one in control. I leaned in slightly. You don't like how this feels, do you? Being humiliated? Being talked about? Having people see you for what you really are? Alice swallowed hard. Now, imagine feeling that way every single day. Imagine trusting people, only to find out they think you're a joke. I smiled coldly. And then maybe you'll understand why I did what I did. Alice clenched her jaw. You ruined my life. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, sweetheart. You did that all by yourself. Then, I walked past her, into my office, and never looked back. The fallout was brutal. Alice's social life crumbled. People distanced themselves. She lost followers, lost credibility. Trevor and Bianca tried to do damage control, but the internet doesn't forget. The three of them faded into the background, exactly where they belonged. And me? For the first time in years, I felt free. No more fake friendships. No more wondering if I was being secretly mocked. Just me, finally choosing myself. And damn, did it feel good.
الغنوة اللي جاية دي حضراتكم هقولوها معايا يعني انتوا رغبتكم بس انتوا اول ما هتسمعوها هتعرفوا انما انا عايز اقول لكم هي كلمات مين هي كلمات الدكتور مدحت العدل والحان خالد حماد وتوزيعه برضه هنغنيها اول ما تسمعوا الدخول هتغنوا معانا على طول